Okay, today we're going to talk about solving for a variable, and that's going to help us with continuing to learn about systems of equations. I've got an equation here for bell work, and if we notice that we've got x's on both sides. So in the past, when we've had one of these equations, we've talked to you about having a barrier here we call the Great Wall of China, and to moving all of the variables to one side, all the numbers to the other. We mentioned that you can move all the variables to one side by doing one simple step. First, decide what side you want to move them to, and then recognize that if you want to move something from one side of the equal sign to the other, it just becomes its opposite. So if I move 5x over here to be with 6x, it becomes its opposite, which means it becomes minus 5x. Meanwhile, 4 is left on the right side alone, and negative 2 will now be moved over to that side, to the right side to be with 4, because it's a constant, so we end up adding 2, because adding is the opposite of subtracting. So now we finish out the problem. 6x minus 5x is equal to 1x, and 1x just equals 4 plus 6, which is 6. So our final answer is x equals 6, and that's what we mean by solving for a variable. So these skills of moving numbers from one side to the other and changing their signs is going to help us with what we're doing today. For example, we want to solve this one for y, so we're going to move 2x to the other side and move it right behind the equal sign, because that's where we want it in slope-intercept form, like we have up here at the top of the page. And when we do that, 2x becomes minus 2x. And as soon as we've done that, we recognize this is already in the form that we want it to be in. 5 is the y-intercept, and negative 2 is the slope. All right, let's try another one. We're going to move 5x to the other side to put it behind the equal sign, so it's in slope-intercept form. Only in this case, we have a 4 still in front of the y, so we have to divide everything by that 4. And as we finish it off, we notice 4 divided by 4 is 1y, and negative 5 over 4 becomes negative 5/4, which in this case will be our slope, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So this equation has now been solved for y, and it's ready to be graphed. Okay, let's take a look at this one. We've got 3x plus 2y equals negative 2, negative 2. And then we've got x minus 4y equals 12. Those are our last two examples. So let's start with this one. We're going to move the 3x to the other side, and we're going to put it behind the equal sign in front of the negative 2, because that's how we put it into slope-intercept form. So 2y equals negative 3x minus 2. Now the next step is just to divide everything by 2, so that we get y by itself, and then to do that we just end up with y equals, we write this part as a fraction because that's how slopes are written, negative 3 over 2x, and then negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So there is our slope-intercept form equation that you can now graph if you were trying to graph a system of equations. So our last one, we're going to move x to the other side and put it behind the equal sign, which will leave us with negative 4y on the left side, and then negative x plus 12 on the right side. So we have to go through and divide everything by negative 4. Like that. And we recognize that in front of that x is a 1, so that's going to be important. So negative 4 divided by negative 4 is just 1y, so we get 1y here. And negative 1 over negative 4, the negatives cancel, leaving us with just 1 over 4x. And then at the end, we have 12 divided by negative 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. Positive divided by a negative is, we don't want a positive here. We want a negative. So that's going to be a negative 3. And that would be our y-intercept. So we just solved that for y, and it is now ready for graphing. So on today's assignment, you're going to do this short little worksheet, and you're going to solve these equations for y using the steps that you have just seen. Thank you very much.